So why do girls act hot and cold? Why does it seem like sometimes they like you, sometimes they don't? And more importantly, how should you handle it when you're dealing with a woman like this? I'm here with my buddy Chris Anderson, and that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. How's it going, guys? I'm here with Chris.
What's up, guys?
And we wanted to discuss a topic that a lot of our clients deal with. It's probably one of the top 5 issues, would you say, Chris, that guys come to us with? A girl who's very hard to figure out. One minute she likes them, one minute she doesn't. One minute it seems like she wants to move things forward, then she's putting the brakes on. That hot and cold behavior. I can remember personally, I think in a lot of ways it's the hardest part, right? That not knowing, should I be putting more effort in or should I back away and give her space? Should I be persistent? Is it that I'm not giving her enough interest or am I giving her too much interest? So we wanted to break down the most common reasons a woman does act this way with you and how should you respond in a way that brings her more towards that hot behavior and allows you to move things forward with her. What are some things you've seen recently, Chris?
Yeah, so what I've seen lately, it's actually pretty interesting. I got a new client recently, and one of the things we do for new clients is we say, you could send us your text messages, we'll give you a professional analysis, we'll look over everything. So this guy sends me 19 pages of text. I go, whoa, okay, a lot here. And the first thing I noticed was I gave this guy the nickname the love bomber, right? Because I'm reading this and it's, I love you, you're amazing, my heart soars for you. I'm saying, oh my God, what's this guy doing? So I know this guy, he actually watches this channel and he might be even watching right now. So he knows you're not supposed to do this, right? He's heard us say it hundreds of times. Why is he still doing it? So me as a coach, I'm thinking, what do I have to come up with for the light bulb to go off for this guy? So I'm pouring through the text. It's late at night. I got my coach's glasses on and I see he writes, which is funny that this video is about hot and cold. He writes, sometimes you're enjoying what I say so much and you're being hot. And sometimes I feel like you're pulling away, you're being cold. He goes, why do you stay with me? He goes, why are you still giving me a chance? And I see this and I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. And I'm like, I'm looking so forward to what the girl's going to write. So I look and this girl must be the most honest girl in the world. She writes, to be honest, the reason I stay with you is I'm hoping that one day I can have the same feeling you have. And my mind was like blown. I go, I've never heard it said so perfectly. What she wants most in the world is to feel like he's feeling. He's in love. He has never felt this great. He wakes up happy. He's singing with the birds. And I'm not saying she's not happy in some sense, but she doesn't have that amazing feeling. Yeah. So what I told this guy is, the key is this. You already feel great. You're already taken care of. Your interest is 100. You're in love. Your goal is to make her feel that way. And by you gushing over her and putting her on a pedestal, you're not making her feel good. You're taking the feeling away. You're snatching it away. And there's no way she'll ever feel that way if you keep doing this. He goes, oh my God, you're so right. And finally, he was able to turn the tables.
Yeah, 2 things pop into my head as I'm listening to you. One is the guy, he took a risk sending that message and she gave him a pretty honest text back. And maybe it didn't blow up his chances for good. Right. But if I were you and you're watching this and you're going through that, never logically address. If a woman's acting hot and cold, it means something is missing. There's a feeling missing. And if you start pestering her about it, sometimes you seem to like me and sometimes you don't, that's actually going to make her more cold, right? Because it's going to put pressure. It's going to feel awkward. It's very logical.
They want you to figure it out on your own.
Yeah. Right? We always say, change her mood, not her mind. You're not going to go, oh, she's not going to tell you, oh, you have to do this. You have to figure it out. And if she has to tell you, even if now he starts acting differently, which hopefully he will, there's going to be more work to do on his part because she's not really going to trust it. She's going to be like, he's only doing this because I told him. Whereas if you do it on your own, if you're preemptive, this is a word Chris and I always talk about with clients. And it's one of the reasons we always say it's better to come to us before you mess up, because then you can preemptively do a lot of things and you're not fighting from a lower status place. But so that was the first thing, is avoid asking a woman why she's acting this way. The second thing is, Chris is 100% right. When you're giving a woman all of this validation, everything all at once, and she still hasn't fully decided that she's in love with you or she's committed to you, it's a little freaky to her, first of all. And to what Chris, you actually said it perfectly, right? in our minds, we think it feels really good to a woman to be building her up and to be, oh, you're so great, you're so amazing. But and you've mentioned this in one of our previous videos, it's like, it's always better to be the one with somebody who we feel that way about, right? It's like getting that sort of compliment from somebody that you don't really feel that level of, it actually makes you take a step back. And it's a big reason why a woman will be acting hot and cold because of that.
It's true. I think one of the hardest things in this world is what I call getting the win, right? It's like when you're crazy about a girl, usually you act in a way that you won't get her, right? So when you have those feelings, you're like, man, this is the girl I really, you have to act in a way where she could feel like, whoa, this is the guy out of my league that I really, that's why it never happens. It's like either the guy settles, I never got my dream girl, but it's easier with this girl because I don't fumble the ball and blow it. Or a girl settles with a guy that either doesn't like her that much or a guy that just love bombs her. This win is so hard, but it is possible. You have those feelings. And listen, can I just make a public service announcement? As dating coaches, we don't say this because we're trying to make you a tough guy and we're so cool. And in fourth grade, someone broke our heart and now we're on here. Don't put her on a pedestal. Don't confess your feelings. We're only telling you this because it's going to drive her away. It's not going to give her the feeling you want. If it did, we would tell you to do it, but it doesn't. So if you want her to have that great feeling, if you're really saying, oh, I'm such a nice guy, Chris, don't be selfish. Give her this great feeling as well.
Yeah, there's a study that I reference often. And the gist of the study is that anticipation is actually more pleasurable than the reward. It's very much in gambling. This is a sort of a known thing in gambling, that the moment that the roulette wheel is spinning and you're staring at it, that's when all of the adrenaline is pumping. It's going to land on me. When you actually win, it's like cool, but it's that spinning. And if you think about it from a dating perspective, if she already knows she won, you're depriving her of that anticipation, of that, is he going to decide that I'm the one? Is he going to realize that I'm special and I'm better than all these other girls? And is he going to choose me? It's like when you give her that right away, now that dopamine rush or that adrenaline rush of that excitement of, am I going to win him over? Is he going to be exclusive? Is he going to stop seeing other girls and decide that I'm the one? You've taken that away from her. And when you take that away from somebody, you're depriving. Another thing that I always say is women equate longing with love. And if there is no longing, if there is no, I want more of his attention, if there is no more, I want him to tell me that he wants to be exclusive with me. When you take all those things off the table, now she's got nothing to long for, which in her mind, now I don't want anything from him, right? Because that wanting things from you, to your point, that's when you know you're in love. When guys come to us and they want to, it's because you want something. You want her to be with you, right? And that's how you know that you want her. But when you have it, especially when you have it too quickly, you've deprived her of one of the most important elements of falling in love with somebody.
All right, let's try to preempt this. I could see comments already. Bobby, I don't want to play games. I wear my heart on my sleeve. If she doesn't like me, that's her loss. You know what I say to that? This is not a game. It's a display. Can you display the correct behaviors? Can the bird build the right nest that the female bird goes, oh, this is the right bird? Can the peacock do the peacock dance that other peacocks, oh, this is the guy, right? It's not a game, it's a display. And if you're going to get all hard up and say, I'm not doing that, then fine, don't do it. But you're not displaying the right behaviors that make a woman fall in love. What do you say to that?
No, you're 100% right. Guys have this, I guess it's a defense mechanism where, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like they're just being lazy because it's like easy to go, if I have to do that, I don't, screw them. But it's in life, everything in life has these rules, to even in nature, right? The peacocks and the animals, they have to go through this ritual, this mating ritual. In everything in life, if you want to win certain games, you got to know the rules and you got to play the rules. And even if that rule seems stupid, you have to play that rule in order to win the game. And in dating, that's what it is. Everybody has to remember is everything is biological. Evolution has dictated everything we do. And I don't want to get into a whole evolution discussion, but hundreds of thousands of years of evolution have programmed men and women to have this sort of dance of attraction. Why do I choose this guy? There's all these reasons that you rationally might not be able to wrap your head around, but they're there, okay? And maybe evolutionary, the guys who were very quick to settle down were the weak ones, and now a woman is scared off by weakness, right? There's all these underlying reasons that you may not understand. And you may go, I want to put my heart on my sleeve and I want to tell her how she feels. And if that bothers her, well then screw her. And I think that's the most selfish thing that you can say, because as a guy, I've been with women who were really cool, but they came on too strong. They weren't a challenge. And to me, I'm like, no, I actually like that mystery. I like that buildup. I like that slowly. I like feeling the best feeling in the world. And this kind of alludes to what you were saying earlier, right, Chris? Tell me that the best feeling in the world is not when you're with a woman that you're attracted to and you're being really cool and funny and she's laughing and you can see her becoming more attracted to you, right? You're actively winning her over. And for a woman, it's the same way. If you're already sold, if you've already made up your mind, she's the one, and she doesn't have to put any work in, you're depriving her of that feeling of that, oh, wow, like I look hot tonight and I was flirty and I can see him becoming more attracted to me and he's looking at me differently, right? That's, if you look at romantic comedies, not to use romantic comedies as like the blueprint, but even if you look at a romantic comedy, it's what is the standard plot? It's the guy who's like the Matthew McConaughey sort of guy that doesn't want to commit, but he meets her and at first they banter and they bicker and he does. And then slowly he goes, oh, there is something special about her. And slowly by the end of the movie, it's, oh, she's the one. And that's what women, you're seeing what their fantasy is. Their fantasy is she's got to slowly win you over. And yet we're like, dude, I don't want to do that. Okay, then don't expect to get the woman you want if you don't want to give her the fantasy that she actually has about the guy she falls in love with.
Especially at the beginning, right? I'm not saying you got to do this for 80 years. You're 80 years old. I'm a challenge. I'm in the kitchen. She doesn't know where I am. I'm in the bedroom. No. But the story of your relationship should be a story of challenge and winning him over. If she's talking to her best friends and says, how did you meet Bobby? You wanted to go, at first, I wasn't sure about him. He was a little mysterious. I thought he was hiding something, but then I got to know more about him and then he got him to open up and I feel like I really bagged the tiger and I got him. I want that to be the story. I don't want her to say, Bobby, he was calling me every day and texting me. So I decided I'll give him a chance. And I felt like I didn't want to date right now, but then he took me out a lot. I figured he's a good guy. He has a good job. I went with him.
Or the guys that are like, they do something really special. They're like, I went out and her birthday was coming up and I know we've only started dating, but I made her this photo album and I wrote her a song and a poem and I put in it. And it's like, well, is that all you have to offer? That's basically what you're saying is, yeah, I'm not really fun to be with. But I did this thing for her, so she should like me. No, she should like you because she's experiencing all these positive emotions about you when she's not with you, when she's thinking about you, not because you gave her some thoughtful gift. The thoughtful gift is great, like I said, when you're with a woman and you're in love, and it should be a bonus, but it's not something that makes her attracted to you, right? It's something that, like, yeah, she'll enjoy and appreciate at some point, but if she's not already attracted to you, that's not going to get you over the hump. Getting back to the idea of hot and cold. So that's number one, what you brought up, Chris. Definitely true. A woman will act hot and cold when you're showing too much interest too quickly and she's not on that level. What are some other reasons, though, that women act hot and cold?
Yeah, so if you see a woman acting hot one day, cold the next, and going back and forth and you're confused, a lot of times it's because you're not giving her, and you alluded to this in the last one, you're not giving her what I call the number one feeling in the world. So let me tell you, when a new client comes in, one of the first things I teach them is you could only give a woman really two emotions, right? You could give her the pedestal or you could give her the chase. Now, the pedestal I call the second best feeling in the world. Someone really likes you. You're obsessed with them. You compliment them a lot. They're all over you, right? It gives you a good feeling, let's not lie. But it's not the number one feeling. The number one feeling in the world, better than being chased, is chasing. Is working for a guy, is trying to win him over. He might be a little better. He represents something better. He might be a little out of my league. I might have to try. That beats being put on a pedestal. But here's the dirty little secret us as dating coaches sometimes don't tell you, because we're always telling you don't put the girl on a pedestal. The thing is this, it works a little bit so it can trick you to think you're on the right path. So I'll give you an example. Hey, Chris, I surprised her with 300 roses and she totally loved it. I have no doubt in the moment, seeing 300 roses, that you totally loved it. But down the line, that's going to cause a problem for you. Chris, I sent her this message about how after a broken heart of my last relationship, now I feel more comfortable and we're having such an amazing time. And she hearted the message. Oh, she really loved it. And I have no doubt in the moment she loved it. So it confuses you. You think, I don't need Chris. This is working. Bobby Rio, I'm going to want to unsubscribe from his channel. This isn't working. This is working for me. So you get this false sense of security. But I can guarantee you this, maybe not today, maybe next week, maybe a month from now, she'll be at work. He'll be a cute guy. He's a challenge. He's a little mysterious. He's not kissing her butt. Told a funny joke. All of a sudden she thinks, you know what? I thought I could get by on the number 2 feeling, but I think I need the number 1 feeling. Heck, I deserve the number 1 feeling in the world. And she's going to say, you're boring. She's going to blame it on you that she doesn't have that feeling. And now she's acting cold again.
Yeah. What's funny is when they're missing that feeling, they'll do mental gymnastics to explain it. They're never going to go, man, I just wish I had to chase you.
Right.
They're going to come up with some reason. And this really, I had a client that I was working with, and she told me, what was her reason? She told me that I don't pay her enough attention, or that, I'm not present. That was her reason. You're not present. And I'm like, and I know this guy because he's smothering her. And I'm like, that's not really the reason. She's rationalizing it. She's looking, she's going, why am I not feeling it? And maybe she goes, well, last time I was with him, he was on a work call. That must be the reason. But it's not the reason, right? It's her rationalization.
Can I call it quick time? Because this is insane, right? You just sparked something. I think you're gonna love this. When you don't give her the number 1 feeling, and I know she is rationalizing, trying to figure out what she thinks it is, you're actually not validating her enough, putting her on the pedestal up. She thinks she needs more of that. He only said, I love you 100 times. Maybe he needs to say it 200 times. She thinks she needs that to get the feeling back. But why are there different rules for different guys? Why do we not have to say it 20 times a day? Why does that guy have to say it 100 times a week? Because he's not giving her the number 1 feeling. He has to fill in what's missing by doing all this stuff.
Yeah, this is key. It's key that you understand that she does not know why she doesn't feel it. Most women are not in tuned enough. And even if they do, even if they slightly have that thought, they're not ever going to admit it to you. And they're barely going to admit it to themselves, where they're going to be like, man, it's that they just don't feel it. I don't feel the level of infatuation and attraction with this guy. Why is it? And they go to all the stereotypical reasons. He's not sweeping me off my feet. He's not romantic enough. So they say you're not romantic enough, but romance for women, really, it's not the things you think it is. Like, she might go, he's not romantic enough. And in her mind, she might associate that with, you never send me flowers. But really, romance for a woman, and especially if you read romance novels, again, it's the buildup, it's the chase, it's the winning you over, it's the spontaneous, finally, after months of giving her not as much priority as you give her friends, you going the end of the movie in the romantic comedy where he leaves his party and she finally gets what she wants, but it took a really long time. And that's romance. But when she says you're not romantic enough, I can't, especially guys that I've worked with who've come out of marriages and they've had their ex-wife telling them you're not romantic and you don't do. And really, she just doesn't have any attraction to him because he's become boring, whipped guy who has no backbone. He's not masculine. But to your point, she thinks it's because, he's not. And so then he goes back in the dating scene and he said, my wife said I never gave her flowers. So he shows up on a date with flowers. And my wife said I don't reveal my feelings. So the second date, he's, my wife, and he's revealing everything. And then it doesn't work out. It's, no, your wife really just wasn't attracted to you because you probably turned into this spineless, nice guy who let every other area of his life go. There's probably a million reasons why she lost that attraction, but it's easiest for her in her mind to think there's no romance, right? So you really have to be clear. I don't want to dwell on that, but it's such a big problem that I felt like we really have to get that, because women will tell you one thing, but very rarely is that the actual truth.
Nobody escapes without giving a girl a challenge. I know sometimes when a relationship starts hot and heavy and both people are really into it, you almost think I could get away with it. I don't need a challenge. And she's so sweet. She works with the blind, Bobby. She has a school for under. I know these other biker girls, they need the challenge, but not her. You'll never get by without giving a little challenge. Eventually it's going to catch up to you and she's going to turn cold. So I got a good example, I think, for our third one. Hot and cold. And like you said, there's some moments when they're not as attracted. So let's say you wake up and you're in a really good mood, right? And something we talk about a lot is do not let a woman tame your mood. If she thinks she can control your mood, you're in a good mood, she could put you in a bad mood. You're in a good mood, she could get you off your spot. And reactionary, like you said, she'll lose more attraction. So let's just say in the moment, her attraction for you dips a little bit. So you're in a good mood, you wake up, you go in your kitchen. Let's just assume you live with a woman. And she goes, the garbage is still here? You didn't take out the garbage? You never take out the garbage. Whoa, I was in a good mood. Now I'm being attacked. There's a zinger here, right? So you have a moment to really think, how am I going to respond to this? A temporary sign that interest level is a little bit lower. So the wimpy guy, what's he going to do? He's going to apologize. I'm sorry. I forgot. Happy wife, happy life. Are we going to be watching Everyone Loves Raymond still later? Right? That's how he gets out of it. But that's going to lower her attraction anymore. But what you see more often is a guy who, when he hears that, he's a double loser because he's going to use logic and lose his cool, right? So he's going to try to logically explain, I took out the garbage Wednesday. And who was the guy Friday? Did you see the recycling calendar? That was me. I had the bucket out. You didn't see me with the paper and plastic.
Get the Nest camera. Pull out the Nest camera. We're going to look at the instant replay.
Exactly. Logic and losing his cool. And in that moment, she's thinking, I got him. I zinged him. All of a sudden, this happy guy in the morning who came down to get his coffee is now off his game. He's off his rocker. He's lost his thing. And her attraction is going down. So how do you handle something like that? You got to understand it's not a big deal. It doesn't mean that the relationship's over. She says, you never take out the garbage. You go, garbage? You go, you didn't hear? I just got a job as a garbage man. I'm starting tomorrow. They just gave me the orange jumpsuit. I'm going to wear that to bed tonight. You like those things, right? And then it's a little laugh, or maybe she fumes a little bit that you didn't take it seriously. But inside, she's like, all right, he did pass that test. And then you move on because that just happens. Sometimes they act that way.
And that just in every stage. I can remember this was going all the way back to my very first girlfriend. And things were going really good. And then one night we hung out and I don't know what. I was with my friends and maybe I was just being like, I can remember her. She got weird. And the next day we're hanging out and she goes, and it was good, right? I went back, things were good and she liked me and she admitted. And she goes, last night, like you just, I don't know. I was like, something was off. You just were like acting weird. And I felt it, right? At the time, I didn't know any of this. I could have easily messed up, but for whatever reason, I just didn't overreact. But my point in telling that story is like, it just happens from time to time. And you're not going back to the ick, whatever it was, you don't know. She could just be in a bad mood. She could be down. She could be whatever reason it is. She could temporarily just be like checked out, not as into you. And as long as you do not react, where all of a sudden you go into, I have to win her back mode, you can easily scoot back into things are okay again, right? Now, in situations where she's verbally challenging you, like you said, Chris, 100% you've got to handle those right. Those challenges could be the kind of example you gave is somebody who lives with a woman, and in those longer term relationships, very common, right? You're going to deal with those things a lot. Early on in a relationship, the challenges could be a little bit more subtle. The challenges could be things like you tell her a story about I'll give you an example of a client he was probably in his early 30s and he was talking to a woman and he was telling her a story about his frat house days. And she goes, you're like obsessed with your college years, right? Like you can't get over your college years. She made some sort of comment like that. And he was telling me like, he starts going into rational mode.
Right.
I have a good job. I have my shit together. And so I told her, I go, what do you talk? I have my shit. And I go, yeah, but now you're like, she just saw that she threw you off. If just play into
it. You say this, did you ever see Back to School? I'm Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah.
And you laugh.
Be like, yeah, you're my little cheerleader girlfriend. Come on. Like play into it. Just change her mood. Don't change her mind. We always say this. You cannot change her mind. So change her mood. If she believes in her heart of hearts that you didn't take out the garbage, even though you know you did, you're not going to change her mind. So change her mood. If she thinks that you're obsessed with your college friends and you're not, change her mood. You're not going to change her mind. All of these sort of things, right? She criticizes your hair. She criticizes your beard, the clothes you wear, the car you drive. Anything she does early on, women will do these little minor things and you just have to change. You just have to change the subject and move on. You can't go into defensive mode because that pushes her back into that cold realm.
And don't think it's about the garbage or about college. No, it has nothing to do with that. That is a fill-in for my interest level's a little lower right now. So I'm going to zing you and test you. If you pass, interest level back up. If you fail, interest level even lower. And if it goes lower, guess what happens? You're getting more of those tests.
But here's the great thing about those tests. And this is one of, I would say personally myself, and also I know you probably have clients, right, that have told you this. I know one of my long-term clients, Carl, he goes, Bobby, the greatest lesson you ever taught me was this idea that I'm being tested. He goes, because I used to get annoyed. I used to go, these women are testing you. Who are they to test me? And then I realized I'm basically getting a softball. Every time a girl tests me, and I know how to handle it in a way that not just passes. It's not just, oh, I passed it. I'm actually building attraction, because if she's all upset and she's saying you're like your college friends, and then you say, I'm like Rodney Dangerfield, let's go. And then you go have fun. Now, not only did you pass the test, but now she's, dude, I can't even, now your value is going up because she sees, there's a word that I always tell clients, you want to be emotionally autonomous, right? You want to be emotionally independent. Like your emotions and how you feel about yourself and your state, your frame should not be easily affected by a woman. Yeah. And when a woman senses that she can emotionally control you, that if she doesn't give you attention, you're going to get pouty. If she sees that she can make a comment and you're going to get all flustered or angry or whatever emotion that is, it's a sort of a weakness, right?
I think good practice is, obviously we should do this for women as well, but you can practice in your life. If you're one of these people, like with the politics that go on today, and you're having a happy day and you walk by a TV and you see something, CNN, Fox, you go, and all of a sudden you're like triggered and you're mad and you're having a conversation with somebody. It's like, why are you letting them? You are having a great day. This one little thing affects your day. It's the same thing. Like when you're in a good mood, don't let anything easily take you out of it.
Yeah, no, that's so true. It's why you got to stay off Twitter, because
exactly.
You're giving your emotional happiness to strangers essentially. But in this situation, in our world of dating coaching, guys are giving their emotional well-being to a woman, and she doesn't really want that. It's way more attractive to the guy that it's not that you have no emotions. It's not that you're this cold, stoic guy. It's that she cannot control your emotions. You can be happy, you can be sad, but you're not reacting to every little thing she does. It's not, oh, you're this unemotional guy. That's not what we're recommending. I do want to be clear about that. It's that just because she says something, you don't get pouty. And I had to explain this to one of my other clients, that he always wanted to talk about things with the girl. She was dating this girl. They were in the sort of the new phase of it. And she would do, and this is something that I actually think is important, because we talk about boundaries, right? Chris, you probably tell clients you need to have boundaries. Right. And I do agree that boundaries are important. What I think clients get messed up on is they think that they have to talk about these things on a regular basis with the woman, right? I just wanted to tell you that when we were out the other night, like I felt like you were too distracted and you weren't giving me enough attention. And I'm like, that's not really asserting a boundary. That's more like whining and complaining and giving away and if you do it once, okay. But he was like, every time I talked to him, he was like, I had another talk with her. And I'm like, do you think that's fun for her? Do you think do you think it's fun to always be feeling guilted into just, if she's not giving you enough attention, change your behavior, right, and get that attention from her.
Or send the message subtly, right? Like you got to send the message, but subtly. You don't logically sit down with charts and say, okay, today we're going to set boundaries number 1.7. No, I always say it's like the mafia, right? If they need to send a message, they don't go into a restaurant and say, hey, if you don't pay the money, we're going to burn this place down. The guy comes in and he goes, wow, you got a really nice restaurant here. Be a shame if something happened to it. Okay, have a great day. Like it's like a subtle message and you get it. Like you can't hit them over the head with, these are my boundaries. I'm a type A personality. I respect my time. They don't want to hear that. Just show them through your actions. Send that message subtly.
Yeah, exactly. Show them through your actions is so key. And this was something a client of mine, he was struggling with this woman who was just hot and cold, a perfect hot and cold woman. And she was like, had this X in the picture. And that, to be honest, sometimes hot and cold is because you're a backup plan, right? There's some other guy she's not sure about, and her behavior is dictated by how things are going with him. And if she thinks her ex is interested again, she gets cold. Her ex pulls back, she gets hot. You probably don't want to be with that woman, but just a fact of life. But so the reason I bring this up is because my client was like, she doesn't think that I can get other women, so she's leaving me around. I'm going to tell her, I'm going to pull out my phone and I'm going to go, look at all these good girls. I go, no, stop. I go, that's reactionary. That's showing that she has control over you. You don't have to do, you know what? It's way more effective if you're just not available next time she wants to hang out and you just actually are out with another woman, or you're just
assumes it, right?
Yeah, like let her assume it. There's a saying that I learned in this book, this really interesting psychology book, that says we believe 10% of things that we're told. We believe 100% of things we assume, which is really interesting because when you come to an assumption, you automatically believe it's true. So if she starts assuming, wow, he must not have returned my call tonight because he's with somebody, she believes it. But if you're like, I was with somebody tonight, was he just saying that? It's this funny paradox that
that's a great saying.
If we assume it, we believe it's true. And that's why I tell guys, you always want to play into assumptions rather than making threats. Let her come to the conclusion on her own, because then she'll believe it and it won't feel like you're trying to emotionally manipulate her, right? Because telling a girl, hey, if you don't start giving me more attention, I'm going to start dating other people, versus he hasn't called me in a few days and I see that he's like going out, and is he dating somebody else? Shit, let me, that's way more effective. So
plus, if they know what gets you riled up and what pushes your buttons, you're actually telling them, don't flirt with this guy and don't, what do you think they're going to do? That's the first thing they're going to try. If I want to get him riled up, I'm going to go flirt with that guy.
All right, Chris, we've talked a lot about hot and cold. So give me an example, or give me a sort of a case study of a client that was dealing with a hot and cold woman who was able to turn it around, and maybe what they did, or at least what you told them that began getting them more of the hot, less of the cold.
So I had a guy named Jim, and he might be watching also, so I won't give away any personal details for him, but he had this woman that he really liked for a long time, just infatuated with. He worked with her, but she had a history of liking what I call negative challenges, right? The guys that didn't like her back, maybe they said some kind of mean things to her, put her down. They were cheaters. They were liars. So as bad as that is, but these guys create a kind of feeling, a kind of excitement, a kind of danger, even though it's not right. And we're not saying to become that guy, but let's just be honest. It's like a roller coaster where you're not strapped in and you can die. It's a thrill. And usually they'll only take that thrill if no one's giving them a positive challenge, right? It's no one's giving me any fun or thrill. I'm going to risk my life with the psycho narcissist to get any kind of thrill. So this is what I explained to Jim. I said, hey, listen, the average stuff is not going to cut it. Oh, you waited 10 minutes to text her back? Yeah, that's going to outdo a guy that's a psycho narcissist that cheated with her best friend. No, it's not going to be enough. So when I give you these positive challenges, when I say, hey, you got to be humorous with the text messages, you got to be a little silly, a little confusing, you've got to space yourself out, you've got to be able to stand up for yourself in a calm way, you can't half-ass it. When I give you the strategy, you can't go, yeah, we'll do that, because you're not going to ease your way into winning. You're trying to be a psycho that's got this girl's mind all wrapped up, right? So the good thing about Jim, he really committed to it, right? If I said, if she texts you this, don't just say, yeah, work was good. Say something silly. Say something a little out there. Take a risk. I know you want to see her 2 days later. You know what? Push it out a little bit. I know you're dying and she's dying to see you, but we're trying to beat the bad boy here. So you really got to take this seriously. And to his credit, he really took to that advice. He followed it. He questioned it. He said, I don't know, Chris, this text sounds a little wacky. I go, just please trust me. And the girl would get confused and she would laugh. And then she would even get a little frustrated, right? Because it's not all unicorns and rainbows. You make me laugh every time. I want her a little mad. I want the phone to buzz and go, oh, Chris isn't being serious with me. Like, you want a little of that. That's a positive challenge. Because then when she weighs it, she goes, okay, this guy likes me and he's a challenge. The bad boy is just a challenge. Which do I want? Do I just want a challenge, or a guy who genuinely likes me, who's a good guy in a challenge? And she made that decision. I'm going to go with Jim, and Brutus, bye-bye, and he was out. And I'm sure Brutus was shocked, and he said, this has never happened to me in my life. Guess what, Brutus? Chris 60 was on the case, and you're out.
Yeah, it's interesting. One of the things that I've talking to you and just talking to various coaches that I talk to, when it comes to texting, right? Because you gave Jim the text, and I know the story, and I know how he used it, and I know how he turned everything around. And one of the hardest things as a coach is a lot of times you give them the text to send, right? And we know it's going to work, but then the client is like, I don't want to send, and he tries to shave the edge off of it. Like he wants to neuter it because he's like, oh, that's going to be a little, and he wants, and but so it used to be, right? It used to be for me anyway. I'd almost be like, okay, I'd let him send what he wanted to send because I felt like, all right, like he's more comfortable. And then probably about 2 years ago, I hit a point where I'm like, you know what? If you hire me, if you hire Chris, and we're telling you to send this text, send it because it's what's going to work. So for the guys that are like, man, Chris, I got a girl and she's driving me crazy with this hot and cold behavior. I would love to know more about working with you. What do you suggest?
Yeah, I suggest they sign up right away because we're not bragging, but we're the best in the world at what we do. I'm sorry to say. It's just been proven now at this point over and over. All these clients who come in, we're turning around cases that seem so tough on the surface. A girl that just like negative challenges, all of a sudden she's choosing you. A girl that's pulling away, now she's back. It's a recent breakup. Chris, this isn't going to work. Is it going to work, Chris? Is it going to work? And it works. And these things are coming in all the time. We are so much more confident in our abilities now. Like you said, I don't feel bad telling you, you have to do this because I trust the advice because the data is showing it. It works. We know what we're doing. And I think the biggest compliment that I've been getting lately is, Chris, you take 20 years of learning, all these videos you could watch, all these dating coaches, all these things, and you distill it down to easily digestible bites of information that I can just take right away. Like there's so much out there. You could spend 100 years trying to learn all this stuff, but what a coach does is makes it easy to understand. He gives you the right analogy, right? He just like this video today, we took like really high level concepts and made them easy. The light bulb went off. You go, oh, I get it. If I gush over a girl, I'm taking away her great feeling. I don't think I'm going to do that anymore. But we do that for everything with you. And that's besides looking over all your text messages, finding that needle in the haystack.
And probably in a lot of ways, one of the most important things a coach does is he stops you from getting in your own way. Because to your point, a guy can watch a million YouTube videos, and then when he's dealing with the girl, he can convince himself she's different. That wouldn't work because she's this or she's that. And when you have a coach, and I know you've been doing this since 2007, a long time, just as long as I have. And we've seen it all. We've dealt with every type of girl from every country in the world. And it's, no, your girl's not different. Trust me, she's not different. You may have to change some language. You may have, but the psychology is exactly the same. And just having somebody that can remind you, like, no, just do it is probably key. It's like, a lot of times you know what to do, but you talk yourself out of doing it. And the final thing I'll say to your point, because you said sign up as soon as possible. And the reason is going all the way back to something I said in the beginning of the video. It's the more preemptive you are, the easier it is. The more you dig yourself into a hole, the harder it is. Now, obviously, we've been in situations where we had to dig guys out of holes. When you come in, when you're still like, yeah, I feel her losing interest, it's very easy to turn it around. The longer you wait, the harder it gets. So if you're interested, I'm going to put a link below this video to learn more about coaching with Chris. But it is one of those things. Unfortunately, the longer you delay, the more damage you could possibly be doing. So you do want to try to solve this problem while you still have the best chance possible.
Yeah. And I will say every time we do one of these videos, we get a lot of signups, obviously, because I'm on and I have some availability again. So if you are interested, sign up as soon as you can.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us, Chris. One thing I'll ask of you guys is I love having Chris on here, and I'd love to hear some topics in the comment section, just specific things you'd like to see us cover in the next one of these, because I love to just get him on and just kind of riff on various things. But it would be cool next time to have a list of sort of common questions. As out there as they are, we can just go through the questions and together we can answer them. So leave comments in the comment section with what you would want to see us answer in the next video that we do together.
I don't want to give anything away, but maybe in the future, we're going to invite somebody on, maybe someone in the comments or maybe someone on YouTube, and maybe answer one of their questions for them.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love
Cool.
to do a real world piece. What do they call it? Yeah, it'd be fun though. All right, guys, this has been fun, and we will see you next time.